South Carolina, I believe. Welcome to the program.
Congrats, you've gone a whole 90 minutes without talking about Jeffrey Epstein yet. So I thought I'd call in and talk about that. In the 1990s, who do you think Trump spent more time with? His kids
That's not actually
or
true,
Andrew
by the
Epstein?
way. You haven't listened to the whole program. I mentioned Epstein in the beginning, but I've never been
Oh, for
someone who
like 3
harped on
seconds.
about. I've never been someone who harped on about Epstein. But go ahead.
Oh, I'm glad you haven't because, yeah, no one in MAGA has been harping on that at all, especially because
No,
Donnie
you
never
talk
talked
to
about
me.
it
You
during
call
the
my show.
campaign.
You talk to me. You pretend to listen to my show. So talk to my criticisms, my commentary. That's why I'm here. This is Breitbart News Sunday, not whatever else you listen to. So go ahead.
I liked how he said he didn't write any pictures, and then all those doodles that he had drawn over the
What do
years
you
came
care? You're
out.
the guy who fantasizes about Donald Trump being raped in prison. Remember that from before the election? I won't let you forget that, by
Yes,
the way. So
no, I do. I think about that.
what's your beef with Jeffrey Epstein? You guys seem to have a lot in common. You're both into rape.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind Trump getting raped in prison, but I do mind Jeffrey
Okay,
Epstein
so I think we've settled this.
abusing
If
underage
you
kids.
think that rape in prison is okay and that the president should be raped in prison, I think we're done with you. Goodbye. 866-957-2874, 866-95-Patriot. If you have something interesting to say other than, supporting rape, by the way, we should make sure that we mention that every single time that guy calls on every single program because he's not even running away from that remark anymore. He used to sort of pretend he was saying it in jest and that kind of thing. He actually says he wishes Donald Trump would go to prison and be raped there. That was his fervent wish before the election. Then Donald Trump won the election, and this guy who pretends to be different people whenever he calls in, he was quiet for a while. I think it was a shock to him that all of his news sources had lied to him. But he's still the same guy whenever he thinks that he's got some kind of edge on the MAGA people, he calls in and tries to bait the hosts. But, I was never huge on the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing either. As I've said before, I thought from the beginning that he killed himself. And the reason I thought that was because he was pulled back into the prison system for crimes that he had already pleaded guilty to. I don't think it's likely he was murdered directly. I think it would be very hard to pull that off, especially with so many witnesses, so many things that would have to happen. So who knows what the ultimate story will be? I just haven't obsessed over it. I haven't obsessed over it. To me, it was one of those things that happened in Clinton world. And we knew already that Clinton world was sleazy, that it hovered on the edge of criminality at times, and that Bill and Hillary got away with a lot of things that nobody else would. And to me, this was the latest version of that. Yes, shocking. And yes, Epstein insinuated himself into so many things, Harvard and the rest of it. But this story about Trump, I mean, we knew Trump had hung out with him the way a lot of people had hung out with him before they knew more about him in the early 2000s. And then Trump cut him off. In 2004, Trump barred him from attending events at Mar-a-Lago, Trump's club in Florida. And they had a falling out. So what? I mean, look at other people who stayed friends with Epstein for years and years and years. One of the reasons Prince Andrew is in so much trouble over Epstein is that he continued to visit him after Epstein had already been convicted of, I guess, or whatever it was. But I just thought this was another one of the garden variety Clinton sleaze stories, and we didn't really need to spend a huge amount of time on it aside from the initial news story. It just wasn't as interesting to me as other things are, and I don't think I need to apologize for that. I find other kinds of stories more interesting to other people. This was the biggest story in the world. It was almost like a key to the corruption of the entire system. And I get why people saw it that way, because look at all the people Epstein brought together. And maybe there was the potential that he knew enough about each of them that he had blackmail-worthy material on them. And that's one way of approaching the set of facts in front of us. The other way of approaching it is my way, which was this guy killed himself because he thought he put us all behind him, and he was never going to get out of prison again. And he was going to be dragged through the media again and called a pedophile and all that. Protection in high places. I mean, you can let your imagination run wild if you want to. I just didn't see what it was going to do politically. But maybe that's just me. I miss these things sometimes. Sometimes my instincts are wrong. Okay, we covered it at Breitbart, and I covered other things because other things interested me more. You know, for a long time, as interested as I am in the Middle East and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which I'll talk about in a second, as interested as I am in that, for a long time it didn't interest me at all because intellectually it had ceased to be interesting. I used to be interested in peacemaking and how to bring the sides together. Then I realized the whole thing was basically about Palestinians. Anyway, let's set Jeffrey Epstein aside, unless you want to talk about him. 866-957-2874, 866-95-PATRIOT. More Breitbart News Sunday in a moment. Let's go to Anderson in Dallas on line 1. Anderson, welcome to the program.
Joel, I totally agree. If Trump is a pedophile, that'd be not a big deal. I mean,
Anderson, you were from South Carolina a few minutes ago. How did you move to Dallas in the last 5 minutes?
I moved quick. Yeah, so it's really not a big deal. I mean, we know he's not an angel. I mean, who hasn't slept with underage girls before? Like, nothing to see here, right?
Are you assuming Donald Trump? You're saying Donald Trump slept with underage girls. Is that the allegation you're making?
I wouldn't be surprised by it. You know, a guy.
So you're putting that out there. You have no evidence, but you just said that on this program after admitting that you would like to see Trump raped in prison. Now you're alleging that Trump likes to sleep with underage girls. You know, I think that there's something about a sick imagination that conjures up these things. I think you need help. And you're not going to get it from calling conservative talk shows. You need psychiatric or psychological help. Whatever this does for you, it does something else for me, which is that it lights up my board. Every time you call in with your idiotic fantasies, you get the conservative listeners riled up. So I happen to be very happy that you call. I think it's good. It's good for me, but it can't be good for you. I think you need psychiatric intervention. These paranoid fantasies, which have a profoundly perverse character, I think indicate a cry for help. I think Anderson or whoever you are, I think this is a cry for help. And I actually feel sorry for you, but you're not going to get it here. I can't help you. All I can do is point out that you fantasize about President Donald Trump being raped in prison. I think that's the most important thing to know about you. And unfortunately, it's not something I wish to dwell on. So we're going to go to our next caller. Thank you very much. On line 3, we have George in North Dakota. Welcome to the program. Caller, thank you very much. On line 3, we have George in North Dakota. Welcome to the program.
Well, hello. It's good to talk to you again. Well, first of all, let me say I definitely don't want to see Trump in prison and raped. That would be horrific, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But we do need to talk about the Epstein issue because there's much more going on here than what we know about. Your caller, a couple callers ago, a woman phoned in and she said that her husband worked in corrections for 12 years. I worked in corrections for 6 years myself, and I really find it difficult to believe that he would be in a position where he could kill himself. Not only did he have people watching him constantly.
Well, no. Don't ask me about this woman. Where were you? Did you care about Epstein when he was Bill Clinton's best buddy, which he was, by the way? Bill Clinton went to Epstein's Island many, many, many times. I'm sure you dismissed this as all some kind of conspiracy theory when Republicans were bringing it up at the time.
He may have been.
Let me ask you this: when you say you were in corrections, were you? And forgive me if this is offensive, but were you incarcerated or were you actually working at a prison?
No, I worked at the prison.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And I can tell you that there's now it's come out that Trump had a party with a bunch of women and Epstein.
Good Lord, not a party with women? A party with women? He had a party
With
with women?
Epstein as the only guest?
Wait, well, hold on a second. Hold on. There was a party with women, and Donald Trump was
Younger
there.
women. Now, I don't know
Younger,
how true that is.
younger
so
women.
I'm just going
Wow. Hold on a
mention
second.
it.
Hold on. How old was Trump at the time? We must know. 866-957-2874, 866-95-PATRIOT. Breitbart News Sunday returns after this.